Hello students, in this video we'll see an example of using the Poisson distribution. Let's suppose that x is a Poisson random variable with parameter lambda. Of course, what this means, when you say that x is a Poisson random variable with parameter lambda, that exactly means that the probability that x is equal to k will be e to the negative lambda over k factorial and lambda to the power k. So, and this is valid for k equals 0, 1, 2, and so on forever. What we'd like to find is the probability that x is odd. Well, the probability that x is odd is, well, I'll have 1, 3, 5, etc. will be the sum n equals 1 to infinity of e to the negative lambda, and then I will have a lambda to the 2n minus 1 over 2n minus 1 factorial. Let's check. So what we can note for this is we can note, if I look at 2n minus 1, this set of numbers, where n goes from 1 to infinity, we can write these out. When n is equal to 1, 2n minus 1 becomes 1. When n is equal to 2, this will become 3. And when n is equal to 3, it becomes 5, 7, and so on. So this sequence is just the sequence of all odd integers that are, of course, positive. So it remains to evaluate this sum. So if we continue on, we can pull out this e to the negative lambda. So this is going to be e to the negative lambda. The sum, n goes from 1 to infinity, of lambda to the 2n minus 1 over 2n minus 1 factorial. And now what we can do is we can shift this sum over. So what we'll do is we'll shift the sum. This will be e to the negative lambda. And then we'll have the sum, n goes from 0 to infinity. Now when I subtract 1 from the index, I must add 1 to the index over here. So this will turn to a lambda to the 2, and I will turn this n into an n plus 1 minus 1 over 2n plus 1 minus 1 factorial, which we can write as e to the negative lambda, the sum, n goes from 0 to infinity, of lambda to the 2n plus 1 over 2n plus 1 factorial. And now we can recall that the Taylor series for sinh of x is the sum, n goes from 0 to infinity, of x to the 2n plus 1 over 2n plus 1 factorial. And of course, sinh is just going to be e to the x minus e to the negative x, all divided by 2. So our series will become e to the negative lambda. And now I exactly have the Taylor series for sinh, so this will be the sinh of lambda. And we can write this as e to the negative lambda, and then we'll have e to the lambda minus e to the negative lambda over 2, which will turn into a 1/2. And then this will turn e to the negative lambda times e to the lambda is a 1. And then e to the negative lambda is e to the negative 2 lambda. So this quantity is the probability that Poisson random variable with parameter lambda is odd. Thank you very much.